Hello, happy Monday, my Biz Buds. Today we are going to be talking about how to check in with your business. So I come from a teaching background. I went to school for way too many years. And so for me, September is always a time where I'm like, new start of the school year, new notebooks, new time to reevaluate and make a new start of life. I don't know. So rather, I feel like I relate more to new year, new school year than New Year's Day resolutions. I also think it's a really great time for you to check in with your business. You've gotten through a little bit more than half the year. Summer hectic life is coming to a close, and now you are gearing up for the holidays. So I wanted to kind of touch base with you all about some ways that you can check in with your business mid-year just to make sure you're still on track. So we've talked about content pillars and what your business goals are and what you want to be talking about. We've talked about setting up business values and business goals. So keeping all of this in mind, maybe it might be good to have a little sheet of paper or a little poster or some sticky notes that remind you what were your goals for this year. If you wrote them down at the beginning of the year, bust that paper out or pull up that Word document or whatever. Look at that list, and now we're going to see if everything is aligning. If you don't have that list, maybe now is a good time to kind of think about what do you want to be accomplishing for the rest of the year. So we'll just take my example of my goal is to come up with 200 new products for the rest of the year, or for the year of 2021, and to take a true maternity break as little bub comes into our life. So I'll kind of be referring to those examples, but you'll obviously have your own goals. So the first thing to check in with are your financials. This is a really big one. So first of all, are all your books reconciled? If you're in QuickBooks or whatever, or maybe check in if you're using an accountant or a bookkeeper or whatever, check in with them, see how things are going, how much, where are you in terms of meeting your financial goals? Are your affairs in order, etc. So that's good. You don't want to be caught kind of coming up on tax season and being like, wow, what's happening? So, check in with that. It might be a good time to check in on your inventory. So the holidays are coming up and you want to make sure that you have enough stuff because shipping times and costs are only going to go up from here. So make sure that if you're wanting to hunt down a deal for new stickers or whatever, you're going to want to make sure that you have enough inventory and stock of your products for the holidays. And then that also includes packaging materials, especially if you have certain boxes that you put your card packs in or whatever, not only how you're packaging your actual product, like the sleeves for your cards or belly bands or whatever, but also then the boxes or the envelopes or the packing tissue or whatever that you're putting to make sure that that package gets safe and sound to your destination. So that is a really good time to kind of check in on that and make sure you're good to go. If you're planning on adding any new products, make sure you have the packaging for those products. I know we're adding some new stuff, so we have had to tweak some of our box sizes, so that was good to know ahead of time. The next thing you might want to check in, actually this could probably be first, is your annual goals. So what was your annual goal? Where are you? Where does that leave you? Is it a financial goal? Is it an outreach goal? I want to have 100 new people on my email list by now. And then not only are you reaching your goals, but what is your plan of attack for making sure that you hit that goal? Have you already surpassed that goal? Well then, heck, bump it up. I want to reach 200 people for my email list. You still got time. Let's raise the stakes here. Okay. Holiday preparedness. So we talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, but making sure that if you were going to have any holiday packaging or do a Christmas card to send out to customers or whatever, that you are getting on the ball for that, because quite frankly, like it's coming up and you don't want to be scrambling at last minute. Like better to kind of start thinking about that now before it's too late and prices go up and stuff like that. So check in on your social media accounts. Like how many people are on your like followers for your various platforms. So Pinterest, blah, 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 blah. Like I record these on a monthly basis to check in and see like how my growth is going. But if you don't do that, it might be good to do it at least twice a year just to kind of gauge, or quarterly, like just to gauge how your growth is. And if that, like if you're really stagnant in one area, that might be informative to where you're targeting your energies. So like if you were really hoping to grow and get closer to that 10,000 followers on Instagram or whatever, like if you're not really moving the needle, this is a good time to kind of look into that and say, okay, well, where am I spending my time? Why isn't this happening? Whatever. And then you can adjust as the rest of the year moves forward. Okay, automatic emails is another place that you can do some housekeeping. So check through if you don't have any automatic emails set up, like email funnels to get folks onto your newsletter and involved in your content. Now would be a great time to develop some, like a welcoming nurture sequence, like this is who I am and what I'm about and my business, and here's how I can help you. That kind of thing. If you have Flowdesk, they actually have really good kind of templates to follow for getting just a basic email funnel, which is cool. But then also, if you already have some established, now is a great time to go through and just check on them to make sure your links are working, everything's up to date. Maybe you updated a PDF or whatever and you need to relink it. Maybe something isn't really applicable anymore. Maybe your business has shifted and you're not quite so focused on one area. So like, I know I talked a lot about wanting to do like custom wedding stuff, like installations even. And quite frankly, like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to focus on like the product side of things. So I would need to take that out, like if I hadn't already done that. So take a look at your automated emails, make sure it's still applicable and true to you. Might even catch a spelling error. Bonus. Okay, another one is a subscription audit. We've talked about this before, but basically looking at all your recurring payments and making sure that you're not paying for anything that you don't actually need, and evaluating like, how much do I really need this one tool? Is it really that important? Is it not? Whatever. So looking at that subscription list, and like I have a handout, or I have a spreadsheet that you can help keep track of your subscription lists. So that's something you can do too. Your mental health and self-care, also a really great thing to check in on. We'll talk about this a little bit more next week, but yeah, are you doing okay? Are you burnt out? What are you doing to take care of yourself? Okay, are you taking on too much? We'll talk about this a lot more next week, but like also think about it now. Your team, if applicable, like check in with your team, see how they're doing. You might want to do like a mid-year review. You might want to evaluate the tasks that they're doing. Are they meeting their goals? Things like that. If you don't have a team, maybe evaluate if you might need a team. And then lastly on my list, are your files backed up? Do you have your work saved? Okay, like this should really be at the top of the list because like it's just making me sweat just thinking about it. So are your files backed up? Do you have all your things saved somewhere? So if your computer, I don't know, blew up, would you still have your items? So get those Google folders ready and all that stuff. Sorry, I'm like on a bouncy ball, so I'm like wiggling like a weirdo. Anyway, okay, so I also got some really great suggestions from folks who wrote in. So let's see, who is this from? Kristen says she looks at her quarterly blackboard of goals and surprises. I think that was a typo. So she looks at her goals and compares it to her year-long goal and see how things are matching and shifting and working on habits. So maybe if you've noticed, like, you were really regimented at the beginning of the year and like really being more productive with your time, like now might be a great time to kind of reinstill some of those habits. Or if you need to like put in some more self-care time, that would be a good thing too. Okay, we've got, oh no, that was from Susan, from Suno Henna. And then we've got Nicole, who said, she had a plan at the beginning of the year and it's been adjusted so many times and I find I'm going in a totally different direction, which is good, but need to reevaluate and make sure I'm staying true to myself and not doing too much so I avoid burnout. Yeah, totally. Like, this is really tough. I mean, obviously your goals at the beginning of the year will shift because like you're growing and learning, and that's okay too. Like, let's just be clear. It is okay to change the plan. I think that's why establishing what your values are, because your values as a human and as a business aren't likely to change as much as maybe your goals are. So that will help kind of align everything to your plan a little bit easier than being like, what does this mean for the business? Like, you can say, well, is it supporting my goal of making things easier for people and providing community? And then that can kind of help focus that shifting of goals. Also, it's okay to make a new goal mid-year. Like, if you are feeling overwhelmed, like maybe triage some of that and say, okay, well, I mean, I definitely did that toward the end of my maternity leave. Like, there were things that I was like, okay, this is happening. Like, with my 200 products, like, I was going to be done with those before I left on maternity leave. But to be honest, that's just like it's not happening. And so I am bumping some of it over to my November production, and I'm excited. It's going to end up being more like stocking stuffer stuff for Christmas and the holidays. And you know what? That's okay. I wanted, one of my big values is making time for family, and part of that is nurturing my body that is hosting this human who is going to be joining our family. So like, you gotta adjust as necessary. Okay, so then Michelle at Mad Papery says, I like to make running goal and wish lists, and I check in on them every couple of months. Cross off what I've done, erase anything I've changed my mind, and add to it. I love this. I like the idea of like, you've got the kind of like long-term goal, and then if you've got time, then you've got that wish list, which is really cool, because then if you're checking in with that regularly, you can be like, oh yeah, I was thinking about doing that. Can I do that? Can I not? Like, it takes the pressure off of it, making it from like a very specific goal. So yeah, so I think these are really great suggestions. What do you do to check in with your business? Do you have a time when you do this? How often do you do this? Do you do it quarterly, monthly? Like, what's your go-to? Do you not check in at all? Does this make you want to sweat just thinking about it? Like, let me know in the comments. So if this was helpful, I have a blog post coming out this week that will talk about how to do this. And I've got a little checklist and some resources that will help you kind of organize your thoughts around checking in with your business. So be sure to check that out. If you do not get my newsletter, definitely sign up for my Biz Buds Newsletter. There's a link in my Instagram bio. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see it in the description below, or if it's on my blog, there's a little link at the bottom of the page. It's where you get all the free goodies delivered to your inbox once a month. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week.